I asked Linux gamers one simple question: what made Linux finally click for you? And over 1,000 of you voted. Half of you said the same thing: gaming worked better than expected. Linux was once seen as a system you experimented with, not the system most users depended on every day. Even if you were using Linux, many of you still kept Windows installed as a safety net, especially for gaming. But the real story here was not in the poll, it was in the comments. Because once Linux clicks, something changes, and many of you describe that moment in ways that are honest, personal, and really great to hear. One comment from BarkHasChirp7746 captured something deeper than performance or compatibility. They said,
"Everything! Every day I used my Windows 8.1 machine, I felt like I was fighting my system. And then with Linux, everything just worked. I was free to tinker and game, and the system wasn't fighting against me all the way. Thank you, Steam, for taking away support for Windows 8.1 and pushing me to Linux sooner than I wanted. I should have switched earlier still."
One phrase really stands out: fighting your system. Many people on Windows accept that as normal. Slow boot times, forced updates, background processes, and unexpected interruptions become part of the routine. And over time, that friction becomes invisible because it just happens so often. And on the whole, Linux removes that friction. The system responds pretty much immediately. Applications open, very little delay. The computer feels predictable. Another comment from Seraph1A describes something even more important: the moment Linux stops feeling temporary. They wrote,
"I never planned on staying on Linux forever when I started, but now, whenever I think about switching to another OS, I get the same thought I used to have when I was thinking of switching to Linux. But the difference is, because of how Linux works, at least I know it can be changed to suit my need. Windows can't really do it the same way because of how locked down it is."
And that shift happens gradually. At first, Linux is something that you test, then it becomes something that you use regularly, and eventually it becomes something you rely on. The operating system stops being the focus and your attention moves entirely to what you want to do. But one comment stood out above all others in both simplicity and impact, and that was from Capitalist Death Spiral.
No spyware, no bloatware, no tracking, privacy, and absolute peace and control over my experiences.
That sense of control appears again and again throughout these comments. People value understanding their system, shaping it to their needs, and trusting it to behave consistently every day. The relationship between the user and the computer changes completely. And this connects directly to the poll result itself. Gaming worked better than half of you expected. For many years, and it still is the case, gaming is the final barrier that is keeping people on Windows. Compatibility improvements through Proton, better driver support, and growing developer awareness has changed that landscape. When games run properly, the last major reason to stay on Windows disappears. Performance becomes consistent. The system remains stable during everyday use. The entire experience begins to feel personal and tailored to you. So Linux clicks when everything you do feels natural, predictable, and fully under your control. And based on your comments, that moment is no longer rare. It's happening to more and more people every single day. Not because Linux changed overnight, but because the experience finally reached a point where people can trust it. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. I do really appreciate it. Don't forget to pop a comment down below. Let me know, what was it that clicked for you? If not, then just pop an emoji in the comments for the sake of engagement. It really does help. Thank you so much for watching. You guys take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.